Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Next Stop Automation, the podcast where we talk to real business people from the logistics industry about wins, challenges, and the future of operations. Today, I'm happy to welcome Dalton Winspear from Vitalogistics. Dalton, welcome.
Thank you, Constantine. Good to be here.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for being here. As I already got a little bit to know about you, would you briefly describe who you guys are, what you do, and who your offer is especially relevant for?
Of course. So I am here representing Vitalogistics Co. We are a small PL, third-party logistics in Minnesota, United States. We offer services of storage, warehousing, fulfillment, co-packing, pick and pack, and return logistics. Basically, everything that you would expect from a 3PL is kind of what we do. But we focus on specifically brands who are in that small to mid-size space. Maybe they're just kind of gearing up, getting started, new businesses, all the way up to sort of your mid-size enterprises, and kind of allowing those brands to get to scale quickly and without too many costs.
That sounds amazing. You already, we had a discussion before, right? So you shared a little bit about your journey. As I would describe that, it was a really healthy journey and a organic growth. Could you expand a little bit more about that?
Of course. It's been a unique journey. I think that leads everyone into logistics. It's from everyone who I've met, very few people set out to be in logistics. You often end up in logistics. And I think for me, that was a matter of doing a lot of project management. I used to work for a company that had a very large Latin America presence. And so I did a lot of logistics work, coordination, project management work for them in Latin America, which eventually led me to owning my own business, which was a small CPG product that we sold online here in the United States. We ran that for a couple of years, had fun with it, and then kind of took some learnings, changed the business model up. And instead of going direct to consumer sales, I said, you know what? I'm actually going to be the guy that supports the brands who do direct to consumer sales. And so from that, Vitalogistics was born. It was the idea of basically my partner and I who saw a need between both our nutraceuticals, your supplements, your health and wellness products, who needed this service because they were too small to be handled by the big guys. And then there was also a combination of my network, which is a lot of hemp and THC companies here in the United States that are booming and thriving, and they need someone who's willing to grow with them and go through some learning curves. And so I said, you know what? I will be that guy.
Amazing. As just the gap in the market, you were there at the right time, in the right moment.
Yeah.
What does your current clientele look like? What guys do you serve the most? What does the majority of your clients make up?
We're pretty split at the moment. We've got a good amount of nutraceutical companies and then a handful of THC hemp companies. So on the nutraceutical side, what we often see is brands who have smaller items. We're talking pill bottles that maybe only weigh a few ounces, 50-gram bottles. We take those customers and we can really optimize those customers who are doing, 200 orders a day, allow them to get to 500 orders a day, find some pricing breaks and discounts along the way. And then I would say the other half of my clientele is going to be the hemp-based THC companies. So here in the United States, we have a very unique industry where, cannabis is being legalized in certain states throughout the United States. But we also passed a law in 2018 that legalized hemp-based THC products. And so that was a different classification all in itself to cannabis. And what that really did is opened up the door to all of these operators who were creating products using hemp, very low dose THC products, to allow them to start entering the market at a federally legal level where they can now ship these products across the country. And so they started to look for partners and people who could pick up the logistics for them. And when I was in the same boat as a lot of those other companies, what I learned is no one wanted to take on a THC company. Everyone looks at THC and goes, that's a lot of risk, man. You could be closed by tomorrow. Who knows? So I was like going, all right, someone's got to help out these brands. And if no one else here will, then I guess I will. And so I would say the day-to-day operations look pretty split: health and wellness, hemp, THC.
And what is going to be happening in the future? Are you going to focusing on more of what is currently being done? Or are you going to introduce more verticals into the market?
My goal would be to introduce more verticals. What we want to do is position ourselves to be a one-stop shop for all things logistics. So aside from your storage and your warehousing, and then you have your fulfillment, we also do co-packing services, which really allows brands to say, hey, I got products made. They're not even ready to sell. I still need labels put on them. Can I just give it all to you and you can do it? And I say, sure thing. That takes the headaches off of their minds. It allows me to kind of also create more billables so that as a business owner, I can structure the business in a way that really protects all of my margins because I'm now offering multiple services. But it also makes the customer very happy. They go, okay, well, now I don't need to go find a co-packer, find the manufacturer, find a 3PL, and find maybe, a large truck broker. So that's kind of the steps that we're taking is getting into co-packing. And then from there, we also do brokering of just truck shipments. And so we do truck shipments through the country all around, and then pass off a lot of stuff to our international freight forwarders who take our products out to all of Latin America and Europe and around the world.
That's amazing. I like that approach, how you're going to serve your clients as a one-stop solution, which obviously takes a whole lot of work off of their shoulders. How does the market actually respond to that?
It's interesting. I find that being the one-stop shop, it opens up the door to whatever a customer is looking for. You have a solution for that specific headache. And so once you kind of got your foot in the door, it's really easy to start expanding that to say, hey, you only needed me to do your fulfillment, but also I noticed it seems like you're launching new products and maybe you're doing a lot of wholesale. Do you want me to take over your wholesale fulfillment as well? As long as those orders are going through your same process, you're collecting those on either Shopify or your WooCommerce. If there's a way for me to capture those orders, I'm going to fulfill the B2B just same way that I would fulfill everything else. And so it really starts to expand and people realize that, oh, okay, so instead of just my direct to consumer orders, you can handle all of my wholesale shipments. You can handle my small truckloads. You can even coordinate with my manufacturer to give me a timeline on when I can expect products to be fulfilled. And in that sense, you start to step into sort of that 4PL area where I'm not just doing shipping and logistics. I'm really trying to coordinate everything that is your supply chain.
So actually, people, once they taste the sweetness of your product, they don't want to let go of it.
That's a good way to look at it. Got to give them a little taste first.
It's good. It's a good sign for you. I mean, it speaks for yourself that you guys actually do a great job. You mentioned earlier that you are also helping those clients to grow from really small amounts of shipping product that they ship every day to larger scales. Can you share a little bit about how you guys actually do that and how you guide your customers alongside the journey?
Growing and scaling with a customer is not easy. I will say that just to kind of kick this off. When when you're very infant stages of starting your business, you end up running into a lot of obstacles that you haven't had to deal with yet. Your supply chain isn't optimized. You ordered new product, but you forgot to order labels. Whatever it is, you end up just running into a bunch of hiccups. And so for me to be that provider to allow brands to scale, it means first and foremost, you need to be flexible. Anything that is rigid, that is hard, that is firm, it's going to be really difficult for these brands who kind of run into different unique issues to kind of work around those hard, rigid, flexible guidelines. And so for me, that means staying flexible. If 1 month they say like, hey, we're going to have 100 orders for the whole month. And then the next month they say, actually, it's going to go up to 1,000, but we're also going to be out of stock. You got to be able to work with them when, maybe we're going to send out these orders and I'll hold some wholesale orders, make sure that you can fill those still. I keep a close eye on all of their inventory levels. So we're able to kind of work together, kind of hand in hand. I call myself the logistics partner. So that also means that as they finally start growing and they're getting a little bit more order volume, maybe your packaging, we were only buying 500 units for packaging. Now we can go buy 1,000. That gets you a price discount right there. Maybe your shipping volume was just so low that, you're kind of on the standard shipping tier, but now that your volume grows, you can get under the second tier and your shipping costs come down a little bit more. And so it's all about finding those little savings, because even though they're little to someone like a large 3PL, to these small businesses, a little cost savings is huge. I mean, every dollar, every penny matters. And so it's just finding those little ways that we can keep saving money here and there. I'm still making money at the end of the day. My customers are saving money at the end of the day. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. You just kind of got to do a little bit of extra work.
What is your average, or what is average? I mean, what does your current workflow actually look like when you say from production into fulfillment? How many steps are involved in there?
There can be, if you include production, a lot. So I work hand in hand with a manufacturer as well. They produce a lot of these health and wellness products. And so for them, I mean, production starts at, a purchase order for them, which could be 14 weeks in advance of, whenever with the date we're talking about. And so if you wanted products to land by mid-September, you better have ordered those back in June. And it takes, a little bit of hand holding to understand when those orders need to be placed. For me, the workflow is pretty straightforward. It's the moment products are produced, they're ready to go, and they get to my warehouse, I'm able to get those into inventory in less than 24 hours so that your products are now getting packed and shipped to your customers in 24 hours or less. And the goal there is that it is speed. It's if a brand runs out of product, if you go out of stock, you are making no money until you're back in stock. And so that means speed is everything for these small businesses. And so my biggest goal is always making sure that we can stay in stock. And if we go out of stock, getting us back into fulfillment as quick as possible.
Is that kind of a thing right now, that inventory management is some difficulty alongside your daily operations?
Yeah, and I would say it gets increasingly difficult for the global brands. So I end up working with a lot of very local brands, local manufacturers, local companies who are trying to make a nationwide impact. But I think for a lot of the larger brands who are a little more established, if you're working with suppliers from China or really anywhere, the tariffs are going to change how your business operates. So for a lot of these brands who have been having to deal with ordering high amounts to avoid those tariffs, well, now they're sitting on a large amount of supply. Other brands who didn't get those orders in, they're going, shoot, my cost just went up 30-40% now. What does that mean for my end product? And so I think everyone's kind of juggling this. How do I order enough supply chain to not go out of stock, but not have to pay, a lot of tariffs, especially if the tariffs could change in 30 days. So I think everyone in this industry is kind of on pins and needles, waiting to see what happens next.
It's a funny game that's being played right now, right? You don't really know where the next wave is coming from.
Yeah. And you try to prepare for it and anticipate it, and it could change just like that overnight. All of a sudden, this one big goal you were shooting for. So to give you an example, like here in Minnesota, a lot of co-packers who are focused on assisting the hemp THC companies as a co-packer. Over, the course of about a month, ruling changed here in Minnesota for what constitutes a hemp manufacturer. And so now all of these brands who are doing this co-packing service will now have to follow a very different guidelines in order to continue doing that service. So if you were counting on that revenue to come in every month for co-packing, well, now all of a sudden you might have to go sign a labor union agreement. You might have to go and hire more employees. You might need to get your facility registered. You might need to blow out walls and put new flooring in just to keep up with the demands of the FDA, with the health guidelines, with agriculture guidelines. So I think everyone is trying to stay agile while things are changing quickly.
Do you see AI at some point helping what you just mentioned, or even further than that?
Eventually AI is going to do it all, don't you think? It just seems to keep adding and adding more and more to what it can do. So for AI and logistics, I think it's really going to change the game. I think we're still in the infancy stage of what we've seen AI accomplish in terms of like actual tasks and daily output. We all use, AI for our Google searches. We got a question, how can I do this? And we'll ask it to Chat GPT. But when it comes to actually having an agent who's running in the background, who's generating shipping labels for you and you don't even have to do it, who's assigning packages based on weights, based on quantities, and then communicating with your customer, here's the total number of shipments that we did today. And all of this is happening in the background and you didn't have to do any of it. We're probably a year away from that. I think we're very close. There's actually a handful of people who are probably already there. But I think for the large mass, what we're going to see is AI has the capabilities to facilitate a lot of the stuff in this industry. Anything that is high volume, repetitive work, that's AI's bread and butter.
Where do you see it in your business, actually? Is there anything you would wish for that it was already there?
If I could get one of those Amazon robots that like picks and packs items into the packaging, that would be amazing. But
Okay.
until then, I will settle for what we're shooting for right now, which is more of an analytics dashboard for your customers. So I have a really good WMS that I use, and as a WMS, it collects a lot of data. And sometimes for my customers, though, the visibility of that data is terrible. And so they go like, I need to see a very quick and very concise snapshot of daily volume, monthly volume. What have we done in this year? And so that's where we're at implementing some AI dashboards right now, is to say, can we train a model that is able to understand very simple directives? Hey, AI, how many orders did we ship today for my company? Hey, AI, what was the total amount spent on shipping labels? These simple questions are all things that are tracked, are collected, and we just need to train the right bots on how to give those responses back. And so that's kind of what we're working on. I think my customers will be happy at the end of the day. It means they one less interaction. You know, you don't got to send an email to me. You can go straight to a
Yeah.
portal, ask it a
Yeah.
question, and you got an answer immediately.
That makes it easier. I think that this is a great point, actually, that there's great tools out there, but how to actually use them is kind of behind, and the intuitivity is missing here, so that people can actually just go there and see what they want to see
Yeah.
is behind. And with so many tools actually out there, it's just so complicated. You actually need to spend a lot of time to actually catch up with what the tool offers and see what you actually don't need, so you can see what you need. This is
Yeah.
the point.
And I think one thing I've run into it, and Constantine, you might have seen this often, is with the innovation of like apps such as Base 44 and Cloudflare and stuff. What we're seeing is a lot more of like these AI models that can create apps. I mean, really from just one prompt and create an entire app for you.
That's crazy,
It's
right?
super cool. It's very effective. But what I actually think we're going to start to see is an overuse of this in the industry. I think there will be this swing where everyone tries to start using AI, and eventually it'll swing back to where we're finding that sweet balance between like how much human interaction do we need and how much automated interaction do we need. I think as soon as you go full automation, customers they start to lose that sense of loyalty to you. They start to lose that sense of, you know, boutique, small PL, and it starts to feel more like you're just dealing with an automated chatbot, you know? And
That's right.
I don't like that. You've probably run into it often, and it's like, yeah, it misses that little human touch.
Of course. That's a good point, actually. I think there is a really good saying out there. The AI can replace the human at almost every part besides the actual humanity that it cannot
Yeah,
replace.
exactly.
So I think AI is a very good tool in order to help us be efficient, manage ourselves, and be more productive as well, right? But we should find that sweet spot where it's actually just as helpful as it does not bring any negativity with it, because it
Uh-huh.
can be reached quite well as well. Of
Uh-huh.
course, there's, as you mentioned, certainly at the point where we will, which we reach when there is an overload of what we can do and what we can use and what will be out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad that the humans.
And I think when we hit that overload point, what we're all going to be craving is like, let's just take it back a step. Let's take it back to where I could send you an email, you would send me a response.
Yeah,
Um, in fact, I got a handful of people who I really enjoy on LinkedIn. And one of them was just making a post the other day about, can we start making less AI posts on LinkedIn?
that's yeah.
Because you can kind of start to feel it when you read them. You're like, that sounds AI. It sounds like a bot. You're using a bunch of emojis and you never use emojis. And so you kind of start to see all these tells of an AI writer. And it just goes like, it just reads a little different. I would love just personality, just something organic and unique.
That's right. That's right. I feel especially for the younger generation that does not even know what it looks like beyond all these tools and this technology we have out there. I mean, you have probably experienced that as well when we were kids, that a there was no phone or something. We were ringing the doorbell in order to ask whether our friend is actually available and we can hang out. We climbed trees and stuff. Like, people nowadays, they don't do these things and they miss
No,
out on a really huge opportunity to just be a human, right?
we used to have that rule as kids. Whenever the street lights went on, that's when you knew it was time to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like that, but it was so right. So right. You earlier mentioned that you are really focusing on those people and those small brands that are out there competing against larger 3PLs. What kind of advantage could you offer to compete against those companies?
One of the things that I noticed right off the bat is oftentimes a large 3PL will have some sort of minimum volume, minimum order quantity, minimum something. And so for some of these brands who are looking for the support and, in service of a 3PL, they go to the big players. Multiple things will happen, but one of them is just you get turned away immediately. They say, "Oh, you're only doing about 2,000 orders a month. That doesn't meet our MOQ. Like, we won't even take you." The other thing that I see happen often is they'll entice you with very low pricing on certain items that catch your eye. And so maybe it's your pick and pack fees. And they say, you know what? It's actually only 25 cents per item in the pick and pack. And you're like, 25 cents? What? And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're getting nickeled and dimed though for your receiving and for this fee. And your shipping label actually wasn't included in pick and pack, and then the packaging, and then the labor for that. And you're going, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. So it ends up being about $2 or $1.50. And so what I often say is my selling point is I'm transparent on my pricing. Whatever price that we say, here's what you'll pay for each line item, that's what we stick to. If there's a hidden line item, I won't charge you for it. If something comes up, that's on me. If there's a mistake, I'll make sure to own my own mistakes. And so in that sense, it's more of saying, whatever your order volume is, come to me. We'll find a way to get you started, good solutions, and keep you growing. And then honestly, if someone graduates from me and they need to go to a bigger player, by all means, congratulations, you graduated from Vitalogistics and you're off to the big leagues.
That's healthy growth, I think.
Yeah. So power to the brands that can get to that size and that scale.
How do you see yourself getting there, actually? Is there any roadblocks you're going to be facing? Is there anything you are already aware of? Or is it just an easy way that you guys are pursuing on and you just have to keep steering towards it?
One thing I would say about this industry of logistics is that if you create your pricing model appropriately, it will cover your margins. You'll never have to worry about like, what price do I charge someone? You'll know exactly what price to charge because it covers your margins and then you still make money. So I would say for us, it's not really a matter of, we have to hit X number of orders. Otherwise, this doesn't make sense. The business is profitable with one customer. It's going to be profitable with 10 customers. So really our goal is going to be doubling down on how do we offer that value added service though? So as we're growing, we're looking into, we do the pick and pack and storage. Now we do your truck brokering and now we do your co-packing. Well, maybe we can start to get into more international stuff as well. Or maybe instead of international, it's, we're going to get into actually buying our own trucks and we'll actually do some level of LTL, deliveries ourselves. That's a common thing that I see people do is go buy a truck and do your local deliveries yourself.
Okay.
So I guess what I mean to say is many avenues. Do you need to take a pause for a second?
I'm so sorry. I didn't see that coming, but hey, wish you a great day, man.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming. I mean, it's
Should we go back a second?
We should probably. I kind of lost the red line here. Yeah, this is my host actually. He's been really great, great for me actually. He went me to one of the first restaurants I used to.
Really?
A really great place, yeah.
Was it good?
It was really good, yeah. Yeah, they made.
What'd you get to eat?
Spicy food, yeah. I love spicy food. It was a soup with Maggie, and you know what these kitchens here do? They slice steaks in really tiny pieces, which makes it really, it soaks up the sauce and it gets really tasty. It's amazing. I love that.
Yum.
Yeah, really, really nice. And I have a good one. And it's really, yeah, I love spicy food. They made it really spicy. Yeah.
I love spicy food too, but Asian spicy food, man, that will knock me out real quick.
You tried before?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. A whole half of my family is from Laos, and so they love to cook some really good foods. But man, they can be spicy.
Yeah, yeah. This is a whole different level. I mean, in Europe, it's literally the same. You order some spicy food, they already say like jalapeno cheeseburger, whatever. It's not really spicy. It's
I feel like I can handle Latin American spices very well. It's the Asian spices that are they just hit me different.
completely, completely. They're used to completely different levels of that spice. I think that's necessary as well. I would say they push their organisms a little bit further. But
Yeah.
it's a different climate. I'm sure that there's different kind of bacteria they have contact with, and I guess that spice helps them to clean up their body, to sweat everything out, and to just maintain what they do.
Dude, that's a whole side topic. One of the things that I wrote a paper about in college was about how spices and the ingredients that we use in cooking aren't just chosen because they taste good, but they're chosen because our ancestors understood the medicinal benefits of a lot of these ingredients, and then those ingredients get incorporated into a culture, and then they just become a staple of the culture. And I think it's fascinating. I think it's so fascinating how everyone has different ingredients unique to their culture, unique to their country. But then it's also like, oh, but also oregano is an incredibly powerful antibiotic and antifungal properties, which is very prevalent in Mexico. So it makes sense that Mexican culture had a lot of oregano in what they cooked. And so I find it so fascinating.
What's your favorite one, actually?
I love a Brazilian dish called feijoada. And feijoada is it's like a bean soup, bean stew. Maybe it's thick. It's not like soup, it's thicker. And you serve it over rice, and it usually has pork and meat in it, and oh, it's good. Very good.
Can you repeat that name, please?
Yeah, yeah, I'll throw it in the chat real quick. They call it feijoada.
Feijoada. I have never even heard of that.
It's very good. You can get it the authentic style, which is like every single part of the pig is inside of the stew. And so as you're stirring it, you'll see the nose and the ear and like a hoof just like floating around. Or you can get it a little bit more modernized where it's just the good cuts of the pork and a little bit it's easier to stomach.
We'll keep this among us, but I would actually go with a traditional one.
Okay, I like it.
Of course. You know what they do here? They have also some kind of soup. I think it was lamb, actually, and they have this thick thing. It's being cooked in that soup for a lot of while, like, and around that bone there is meat, of course, and inside, I don't know how they do this, but the bone marrow has actually been cooked so through, like it's literally liquid, and they serve it with the straw, and you can drink it out of there. You couldn't even offer this to any one of my friends back in Germany, but the
No.
friends here introduced me to it. I was trying it, and it was amazing. Those
Oh,
people
that sounds good.
they just eat it. It's nice. I love
That
that.
sounds really good.
Street food in Asia is really good. This is a whole. You could write a whole cooking book from this. It's insane what they do.
You got to
Yeah.
pick up some cooking skills while you're out there. You got to bring all this talent with you.
I have not even cooked for one time since I've been on my permit. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't have a kitchen here, right? I mean, here in this apartment I do, but it's either the time and the ingredients costs me resources like money and time. It's easier to
That makes
go
sense.
selling it on the street who does a way better job, and it tastes way better, and I can spend my time in a way better sense than I could.
That makes a lot of well, you at least gotta remember all of the good dishes so that wherever you end up in the world, you know what to go look for.
Of course, I will. Actually, I took a picture like 2 hours, like almost 3 hours ago. I was downstairs. There's a food market. I like not food market. There's just a street, and on the road to Singapore, all these people get along, and they need to pick up some food. And of course, it's cheaper here than in Singapore. So these guys stand up at 3 in the morning, and this is what you get to see. It's
Wow.
amazing, honestly. The variety, the choices you can make are far better than in the evening. I wasn't aware of that, but I'm gonna go shopping like every day at 5 in the morning from now.
That looks so good.
It's amazing. But yeah, this just as a little excursus.
Yes.
I don't even know where we stopped. Do you remember that? I think the last question was what competitive advantage you guys actually
I think that
often.
was the question.
Yeah. Well, should we start there again?
Let's start there. You can ask it again.
Okay. If we're going to continue on that path, you will have to compete against way larger 3PL companies. What competitive advantage do you offer against those big players?
That's a good question. And I find myself trying to ask that question almost every day is what am I offering that's better than these big players? And what I've noticed, because I've both lost customers to those big players and I've also gained customers from those big players. And so some of my learning things that I've seen is one of them is just transparent pricing is huge. For some of the brands who end up going over to a large 3PL, they might be hooked in by these very low costs. On some specific item, whether it's a pick and pack fee for only 25 cents. And they go, well, Dalton, you charged me $1.50 for pick and pack. 25 cents is way cheaper. And I'm like, all right, but then you got to make sure you're understanding, like, are they charging you receiving? What's their storage cost? Is there a return charge? What's their additional unit pick and pack? And is there marketing, labeling, all these? And so you start to see that like the big players end up nickel and diming you way more than the little guys. And so that is my competitive advantage, is just being very transparent and honest and saying, here's the pricing that you'll pay. If you're cool with it, I'm cool with it. Let's run it. And literally what I've noticed more and more is that people respond well to just honesty and transparency. I think we're entering a phase of, maybe I'm getting too philosophical, but we're entering a phase in like human life where lying and misinformation and just deceit are very common. You see it all the time. You'll see an AI video and you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, look at this." And then you realize, "Oh, this isn't even real." Yeah, it's becoming very common. It's coming every day that we're getting fooled and tricked. And so I think whenever someone can reach a 3PL like me who's saying, "No tricks, no gimmicks, here's what it is." It's a breath of fresh air.
I like that approach. In the end, people buy from people, and if you can communicate this in a way that speaks to your target audience, you will have this competitive advantage, and nobody else can make up with that. This, like, if I talk about myself, I haven't dealt with many 3PLs so far, especially when it comes to doing business with them. If you see any offer on the internet that is like too good to be true, there is almost every time a catch to that. And you will, it's hard to resist. So you get to experience it almost every time again. And it confirms this attitude that they trying to bring you down this rabbit hole step by step, which makes it kind of, if I would see that person behind it, I would think like, why are you doing this? You could have communicated in a way clearer way, just for the sake of getting a few people more sucked into this. It's definitely,
I totally agree.
I like the human touch.
Yeah, me too.
To wrap it up, thank you so much for the expertise you shared in today's podcast. Is there anything you would like to share once again with the audience? Any last call to anyone? Or did we cover everything?
Constantine, this has been a fun time. I appreciate you. I like what you're doing for the industry, trying to connect folks and logistics. If I could share one word of advice, it would be for all logistics owners out there, for everyone who's in this industry, do your part for the world. Our industry, the logistics industry, creates so much waste material that we all need to find a way to just reduce, reuse, and recycle. And so, whatever that means for everyone's business, I know for us, it means a lot of boxes get reused. It means whatever we receive stuff in, eventually it'll get shipped in that too. It just, there's always something that everyone can do. This industry specifically, we are notorious for a lot of wasteful products. So, let's just all do our part.
That's a good approach. Of course, there is so many wasted materials out there. I guess the podcast is already over, but now speaking to you, when you
Yeah.
go out there and buy some food, they will almost every time sell it to you in a plastic box, wrapped up by a rubber band, covered in a plastic bag. I'm sure I say
Exactly.
every time, like, keep that plastic bag. I don't need it. I honestly don't need it, right? I just walk over the street and then. So, but they, first of all, they don't understand that. And second, they cannot, they cannot understand that.
No,
They give you back
I got
literally.
like when I receive pallets from my manufacturer, they always come plastic wrapped. You know, the pallets, they're very tight and they're, secure. Uh,
Yeah.
I would probably bet 95% of businesses, when they receive a pallet like that, they cut off that plastic wrap, they take it off, and it's usually, I mean, like 5 to 6 to 7 layers thick. That plastic
Yeah.
goes around multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you just take it off and you throw it away. And so I'm just like, that's so much plastic waste. And so for us, like the only thing that we can really do with it is we use it as like packing peanuts. And so instead of, sometimes we'll use bubble wrap to pack down a box and make it, secure inside of the box. Other times we'll take leftover plastic wrap, take it, we cut it into strips, you fold it and roll it into, packaging, and you just use that to bubble wrap a box. So I just think there's always little things people can do. It's just insane. One of the other ones is like from my manufacturer, when I receive a shipment of like one of our big popular brands, all of the boxes that like open the box, I take the products out, I put them in the packaging to ship them out. Those boxes, when they're empty, I save all the boxes. I give the boxes back to the manufacturer. Manufacturer produces again and uses all those same boxes. So
It's,
at least it's not a one-time use. At least it's getting, maybe 2 or 3 uses.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. That reduces it technically by 50%.
And then if you're really pinching your pennies, reducing and reusing your plastic boxes just saved you a lot of money because you didn't have to go order new boxes. And so if you're spending $500 a month on boxes and you could reuse 70% of your boxes, you just saved yourself almost $400 a month.
That's so right. That is so right. There's an
Yeah.
insane amount of cost that gets derivated. What's that word?
Yeah. I was going to say delegated, but derived.
Derived to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is return management actually a thing at your house? Do people return products in a huge amount?
We don't get a lot of returns. When we do, um, what we get more than returns is packages that didn't make it to the customer. And so, like, you do get the instance where a customer says, like, hey, I got my package. I don't want it. Can I send it back to you? 9 out of 10 times, we just say, keep it. We'll refund you. It costs us more to get that shipped back to us than just you keeping it.
Wow.
So most of the time, that's what it is. But whenever I have packages that do end up back to me, those will get cut, opened, put back into inventory. Those products will get sold again. It's not like they're destroyed or thrown away.
Yeah.
Uh, it's crazy. It's crazy when you start to see the amount of waste that goes into this industry. The amount of wooden pallets that just get used one time and then broken down and thrown away. It's just, it's crazy.
Like even wooden pallets.
Maybe not one time, but you'll definitely end up throwing away wooden pallets, multiple of them, and whether they're just, one board on it broke, so the whole pallet's bad now, or it's getting a little bit wobbly, so just chuck it. It's too much work to go fix the pallet. I'd rather just buy a new one for $30. So Usually, a lot of the waste, and this is the crazy part, is whenever there is that much waste in an industry, the cost associated with that between disposal and buying new packaging and buying new material, that cost is always transferred to the customer. I'm not sitting here eating packaging costs over and over. Who ends up eating those costs is the end customer. This either gets built into the way that I bill you, or it's built into the way that I sell you this, or the pick and pack price. And so it's like ultimately people are paying extra that is unnecessary. There's cost savings that they're missing, and extra additional costs are being passed on to customers. It's bad all around. If AI was really to optimize something in this industry, maybe it can find a way to connect used packaging with people who need it to ship it out, and we can finally optimize the supply chain in this industry.
That is not market right, but this could actually be something. How to make the customer benefit from using less waste inside the packaging material. How could that be?
I mean, how could it be possible? How could manufacturers or 3PLs like myself go and shop used boxes? It's nearly impossible. The best thing you could do is find recycled boxes that have been recycled, repurposed, and resold to you. But you're never going to find just one box. It was used once. Maybe it's got some tape left over on the top of it that it got cut open from. You'll never find just that. Those will always end up either going to recycling plants or straight into the trash. You'll never have them. And so that's
right.
why I'm like, everyone can do something though, whether it's me giving it back to my manufacturer, whether it's a big 3PL making sure that their packaging is recycled and actually, using, who knows. And I think the problem gets even crazier out there in the Asia. You'll have to keep an eye out for it. But I'm curious, with different government regulations, I'm curious how different countries operate. Some countries maybe just don't care at all about waste and they're just throwing it all. Or maybe some countries are super interested in invested in recycling.
Is that different here? You think so?
I know Asia buys a lot of America's recycled goods. And so after that, I don't know what happens to it. I don't know if Asia's actually using a lot of recycled goods, or maybe all their goods are the exact same as America. Maybe we're all just creating a giant waste pit.
Who knows? There is probably a lot of trash out there in the ocean. I've heard about that. I think you can even see satellite pictures.
I've heard that too.
But why would they buy the trash? They literally buy the trash. Is that right?
Yeah, we sell our recycling stuff to, I believe it's China. China buys most of our recycled goods. Because they resell it back to America, and also America itself doesn't have enough of the facilities to recycle their own products. And so they end up with too much products that need to get recycled and not enough plants to recycle it at. And you know what the even bigger problem is after that? This is getting into, when I was in college, my whole focus was on environmental entrepreneurship. How can you be an entrepreneur, a business owner, but still do your part to sustain the world and sustain communities? And so this was a big topic for us, talking about there's a lot of waste. And when we sell recycled goods to China, if it's dirty recycled goods, not clean recycled, but dirty, China can't recycle it and it all ends up in the trash. So I think the crazy part is that the supply chain of recycling, 4 out of 5 times, it ends in the trash still.
Crazy, right?
Crazy.
I was visiting a manufacturer here in Singapore, and they actually they produce those plastic trays for discs or something like that, for motherboards, for example. Of course, they look at sustainable solutions as well. But when they introduce this product next to the products they already produce for their customers, the customer says, first of all, I cannot sell this. It looks not clean. My customers wouldn't want that. And second of all, it is more expensive than a brand new tray because the recycling process is so expensive. Right now, it's not financially not sustainable. He mentioned that it will probably reach the other side when there is enough competition that the market actually looks for these solutions.
I gotta imagine we're getting close then.
Do you think
There's a
so?
lot of competition in this industry.
You think so, actually?
Yeah. I
All
mean, I
right.
think there's a lot of competition in general, but it's like you have your small 3PLs like myself, and it's not necessarily that we're competing against each other. It's that like we're all competing against the Amazons and the Walmarts and the Targets of the world who are doing this on scales way beyond anything that I'm doing. You know, I can recycle 500 boxes in a month, and that still doesn't even account for the 5,000 boxes that just got thrown away from Target in one day. So that's why I say, like, everyone's just got to do just your own little part. No one's trying to save the world in one.
That's right.